Looking to take your game to the next level, but are lacking that oh-so-important insight? You've come to the right place. Welcome to the Improve Your League podcast. This is where the best players from around the globe inspire you, motivate you, and give you the advice you need to continue down your path to success. Here's your host, Jordan Chinfinger Williams.
Hey everybody, welcome to the ImproveYourLeague.com podcast. This week with Proxyfox. She is, yes, I said she is a streamer from Norway. I got to meet her this past weekend at TwitchCon, where I met a ton of really awesome content creators and streamers, which I'm excited to have on the show here in the next few weeks. Anyway, Proxyfox has been streaming for a while. She's been playing League for a while, so she knows a lot about the game. We talk about the importance of being nice to our teammates. I know it's kind of cliche, but it's really so important, and she kind of talks to us about why it's so important and how we can do it. Next, we talk about Vel'Koz, how to play that champion, and why he's actually really strong right now. So definitely check that out. And then we talk about ganking. So whether or not we should gank winning lanes, or if we should ever gank losing lanes, and we kind of dissect these different kinds of scenarios and talk about when and why we should do or not do those kind of things. And of course, we talk about other things. So it's a really great episode. And of course, our normal giveaways still in effect. So rate and review our show on iTunes, sign up for our newsletter. And in fact, this week and next week, what we're doing for our RP card giveaways is comment on the podcast episode page on the website, on any blog in the website, and that will enter you in to get an RP card. So yeah, let's dive straight into this week's episode. All right, everybody. I am super pumped to introduce our next guest today, and in fact, it is our very first girl. So we got a girl gamer with us. She's a super good League player. I met her at TwitchCon last weekend in San Francisco in Proxyfox. Her real name is Amelia, and she's super awesome. She knows a lot about League. She's been streaming for quite some time and doing a little bit of content on YouTube. She's from Norway. So anyway, that's a super short intro for her. But Proxyfox, how you doing today?
I'm fine. I'm at a big lawn in Norway at the moment.
A big lawn?
Yep.
Like outside?
No, like inside.
Lawn.
Like, yeah, playing on your computer. Like everyone brings their own computer.
Oh, okay. We say LAN, but whatever. It's all the same.
Wow. Wow, please.
Yeah. Anyway, so I gave you a super short intro. Do you mind sharing a little bit more about yourself with us?
Sure. I'm 18 years old, and I've been streaming since I was 16, and I've been playing leagues for like 3.5 years now. I mostly play mid lane, or that's my preferred lane, but I'm also like pretty decent support and just learned to play a bit of top lane now. My favorite champions are, like, in mid lane, it's definitely Vel'Koz and Ari, and on support side, it's probably Morgana and Nami, because, yeah, I don't know, I just love to play aggressive supports. Yeah. And
No, were you going to say something? No, so you said Vel'Koz mid, right?
Yeah.
So do you ever take Vel'Koz in support then?
I don't know. Like, I've done it sometimes, but I feel like Vel'Koz has like such the potential to, like, when you go full ability power, like, you can wreck most of the mid laners. If you go like support Vel'Koz, he will not be as strong, because like what is strong about Vel'Koz is because he is so good when you build magic penetration with his passive. So yeah, he is good support. He is a very aggressive support, but I prefer to play someone with more CC, to be honest.
Gotcha. No, it makes a ton of sense. Yeah, I was talking with somebody the other day, and they were like, why is these pros building like full armor runes on Morgana or something like that? Why aren't they building ability power? And it's like, well, they're not actually picking Morgana support for damage. They need that CC, those lockdown and stuff like that. So you got to make sure she survives like during that her ultimate and stuff like that. But no, that's a good point. Okay, well, so yeah, let's talk a little bit more about League, and let's talk about a success quote or a mindset that you live by that's helped you in your success in League, your success in streaming and content creating and stuff like that.
Well, basically, it's been like never give up and don't listen to what everyone else is saying. I know it's a super cliche quote, but it really, really helped me a lot, because especially as a girl streamer, it's really hard to not care about what people are saying. And like when I started playing League, I was like high silver, low gold, and everyone is like, why the fuck do people care to watch this girl? She's not even that great. But after a while, I started to rank up and became very good. But then people just came in and were like, oh my god, you're so boosted, like I watched you 2 months ago and then you were so shit. And I was like, please, I've been playing solo queue on my stream, all of my solo queue games. You can't say I've been boosting when last time you were here, it was 2 months ago. Like, it's just trying to focus on your own mistakes and always be nice to your teammates. Like, I'm super serious. Like, being nice to your teammates really helps, because like when people get a negative attitude after like losing a lane or whatever, they will like after a while they will eventually give up. And then they were like, nah, just FF20, this is lost. And then like eventually the other teammates will like adapt that like mindset, and they will also like, yeah, okay, let's just surrender. When you actually have like, you always have a chance of like getting back, no matter like how far behind you are. It's just about having the right focus. And like when you surrender, you don't have a chance at all. So
yeah. No, it's really good stuff. Plus, I think, like, you know, and let me know what you think of this, but it's like when we just continue to play our game, if we continue to stay positive, like we're developing good habits, you know, that, you know, in our next game, like we're either one, we're like learning how to play from behind, or two, we're learning how to be positive in like a really crappy situation, in which both things are like really great things, like moving forward in your future success in League and stuff like that.
Yeah, what I always do is like when someone is behind, say my top laner is like 0-2 and he's like kind of struggling, if he then gets a kill even when he's behind, I always were like, oh my god, good job, like we can do this, come on team, we can do this. Just try to like make everyone positive. And like when if he gets that kill after being behind and no one is like saying something positive about it, he's like, man, whatever. But if someone actually notices it, he's like, yeah, I can do this, woo.
Yeah, no, totally. It's pretty incredible how the power of our words is it's a real thing.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. I love that stuff. So let's go ahead and dive a little bit more into your path to success, I guess we should say. You mentioned a little bit about your breakthrough in climbing and how you went from like silver to in 2 months you climbed a bunch from just like actually trying and stuff like that. So let's talk a little bit about what were some of the things that you started to do differently, or how your mindset changed during that process, or you know, what were some of the mistakes that you started to realize you were doing. Maybe just point out some big things to you that really helped you in your climb.
Well, when I started out playing League, like in general, I played mid lane, but for me that was very hard because I felt like I had like a lot of pressure. So when I started playing ranked, I played a lot of support. What I actually learned from playing support was how teamwork work. Like, as I said, like keeping your team positive is super important. And as a support, like especially like early, except for the CC, like to the rest of your team, you're not very useful unless you roam a bunch. So just keep that team spirit up. and also learn what kind of bot lanes there are. Like you have the aggressive lane, you have sustain, you have kill lane, whatever, you have poke lane. Then you just have to learn the difference, and you have to pick something that fits your AD carry, or if you're playing AD carry, you have to pick something that fits your support, and then just play the lanes well. After a while, I started playing mid lane again because, yeah, that was my favorite lane. And what I learned most was probably warding is like super important, especially as mid laner. And you can ask like your jungler to help you ward. And especially if you're behind, it's so important to ward up around your mid lane because you're such an easy kill. Because like, yeah, some junglers camp like the winning lanes to like keep the mid laner or the top laner or whatever lane it is to keep them fed, and also get like free assists or kills themselves, so they like get fed themselves.
Right.
So yeah.
So what did you feel like so you were playing mid lane a lot, and then you were like, okay, I'm gonna go try and play some other things. What were some of your major takeaways from like going and practicing other lanes before coming back to your main role?
Well, I realized after playing like support, AD carry, and top lane, I just felt like it wasn't right. Like when I was playing support, it was so hard to climb, especially in low elo, because you cannot expect that much from your other bot lane partner. If you're playing AD carry, if you're playing support, and you're playing in low elo, you cannot expect them to go out there and carry. You have to kind of carry them if you know what you're doing. And as a support, it's so easy to carry, especially if you're playing a support that has a lot of CC. But say you're playing Morgana or Nami, or you hit your Q, and they get bubble up or they get snared or whatever, you can like go in on them unless your AD carry goes in, and that's really annoying if you're playing an aggressive support, or if you're playing like super aggressive as AD carry, like you're going and trying to poke and just wait for your support to go in, and it never happens. It's like, okay, I will try go on another lane. And going top lane was actually really great, but I felt like you were not that much included like in the rest of like your team's behavior. Like if they were feeding or losing, it didn't really affect you in any way. But as a mid laner, you're like in the middle of everything, and you can roam bot, roam top, and just try to help them out and help the jungler if he's also kind of behind.
Yeah, no, it's cool. So, did you feel like too playing different roles before you came back to the mid lane, your main role, and really started to climb that you learned how to play mid lane better because you started practicing those other lanes? Was there any translation there at all?
Yeah, especially like a while I tried to play a lot of jungle, and then I realized how important it is when you play top lane and mid lane, how much your positioning matters. Like if you are top lane and you're kind of behind and you're still just trying to go extra hard for that farm you're not getting, then you just like overextend, and there's like no way for the jungler to gank you unless you're going for the dive, and since you're behind you can't really do that. So I learned a lot about positioning and also how important warding is, and I definitely think that playing other roles made my mid lane much stronger. Yes.
Nice. No, that's really cool. I like that quite a lot. So do you think that it's like super important that one, we get at least familiar with all roles, but what's really important is that we find the role, or we find that champion that really suits our playstyle?
Yeah, I think it's all about playing, or like finding your playstyle in general, and then I like to play very aggressive when I play. So like Vel'Koz is a very aggressive mid lane, and it's very easy to fall behind because he is so squishy and doesn't have any escapes. But because he doesn't have any escapes, he does have a lot of damage abilities. And also playing support as Morgana or Nami is just about hitting the CC and just like go all in. So you just have to find your playstyle and then find the champions that fit you. For example, as as top lane, I like to play Aatrox a lot actually, because then you can jump in and you can go all in, like very aggressive. And yeah, as a jungler, it's kind of the same. I just play those aggressive champions, and then I just have to adapt to what my team is doing. Like if they are not playing aggressive, I will just have to play very passive.
Nice. That's really cool stuff. So yeah, let's actually talk a little bit more about Vel'Koz now. I kind of just want to get your thoughts on why you like to play Vel'Koz mid. Well, you already said you like to play aggressively, but what about him do you think is so strong? What can we learn from him? What are some tips, when let's say one of our listeners wants to pick up Vel'Koz mid. Let's talk about some things to watch out for, some things we need to definitely be doing or avoiding as playing Vel'Koz. And so anyway, I just kind of want to get your overall thoughts on that.
Okay, what is risky about Vel'Koz, as I said, is that he is very squishy and he is very, very easy to gank. But the positive sides about him are also very strong. For example, his pushing power early on, like level 2, he can easily clear a minion wave because of his passive. Like if you hit your W on all the minions, and then you hit your E, it will clear all the minions. So his pushing power level 2 is very strong, and like early on, it's very hard for at least some of the mid laners to farm on the turret. So that's really great, and also you're able to help like other lanes a lot if you like keep pushing your mid lane, and then eventually you will get the first tower. Then you're able to roam much more than playing any other mid laner. But like one of the most important thing is, because you're so squishy, you will be the ganking target. And then you just have to ask for help about warding. Just buy some extra wards, ward up like all around your mid lane. Ask your jungler to help you, and just try to roam. Also, like what is like the best part about Vel'Koz is his passive, and in a team fight you can just hit one of your abilities on some of the enemy team, and then you can, if they kind of line up or if they're a group, you can just stay back and just try to hit your ulti on all of them.
Yeah, because Vel'Koz, we hardly ever see Vel'Koz, but I always think that those champions that we don't see much in solo queue are actually, for the most part, really, really strong, because people don't know how to play against them. They're not used to their abilities. They're not used to their power spikes. And so, yeah. I mean, just the other day I was playing a game and the enemy team had a Vel'Koz mid, and you just get so surprised. Like I was like, what the hell? Like where did my health go?
Yeah,
I was top lane Renekton, had some health, probably had some MR, but it's like one combo plus the ult, and it was like, whoa, where did my health go? It's like, it's pretty crazy.
You don't really expect it. Like Vel'Koz is really an underestimated champion. Like a lot of pro players actually been saying that, like they don't really play much competitive because he is so squishy and an easy ganking target. But I think he is very good for climbing solo, because you can easily carry, like even though like you're very behind early game, you can still come back late game with just buying magic penetration, and then like people will not expect you when your passive suddenly hits them.
Right. So can you talk about the passive? What is it exactly? Like, can you refresh my memory on this?
His passive is when you hit when you hit one ability, you proc your passive once, and after you proc it like 3 times, it will deal true damage. So your W, for example, will deal like 2 dots, and like on a 3rd dot, you will like deal true damage. And like after hitting one of your abilities, you can ulti and you will proc it like I think the ulti will make 2 or 3 dots. I'm not sure. Like maybe if you hit like the ulti, like the whole ulti, you might be able to like proc the passive from the start to the end, but I'm not really sure.
Oh, that's interesting, man. So you're saying if you have 3 dots on them or whatever, and you ult Like your ult is going to do true damage to the enemy.
Yeah.
Jeez, how did I not know that? That seems really broken.
Yep.
Okay, so then I can see why you mentioned so much about warding when you're talking about some of your major breakthroughs in climbing. Because warding as that champion has got to be crucial. Because it's like when we talk about League of Legends balancing, if a champion has a lot of escape potential versus a champion that doesn't, just the way Riot balances things, and it makes sense. Like if you don't have an escape, you're going to do more damage. If you have a big escape, generally you're going to do a little bit less damage, but you're more mobile. You can position yourself better in fights like that. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
So warding is definitely super important. Do you mind giving us like a bronze tip, a gold tip, and a diamond tip for Vel'Koz? Like bronze tip, like we're just starting to pick up Vel'Koz. We don't really know what we're doing. A gold tip, you're an intermediate Vel'Koz player, and then like a diamond tip where you're more pro at Vel'Koz. Can you come up with that?
Okay. As for bronze, you should just really focus on like the easiest part about Vel'Koz is definitely his pushing potential early on. So just like try to get all of your minions. Like it's really easy to farm with Vel'Koz, and late game you can basically just like minion wave, clear a minion wave with like 1W. So it's like really easy. And just try to get as lot of farm as possible. And like his AP scaling is like meh, but he is really good if you build some magic pen. So that's the way to go. It's like basically a free win if you know a bit about playing Vel'Koz. What the bad part is that he is not that great against a lot of like the common mid laners to play, like especially those who scales AD like Yasuo or Zed, because if you ulti them, they can just jump right into you, and then you basically can't hit your ult because they can like walk 1 centimeter and they're behind you, and you cannot turn your ulti around that fast. So pro tip there is basically just wait until they have picked the mid lane, because it's really risky first picking Vel'Koz because he is very easy to counter. Also, like as a goal tip, just focus on your CC build. Realize it's really good on Vel'Koz because all your abilities will slow. Your Q is already slowing, but then all of your other abilities will slow, like your W, which you can use on minions, and then everything will be slowed. And also it's very easy to hit your ulti then, because then your ulti will slow and they will stay longer in your ulti and you will hit all of it. And just try to roam as much as possible. Like when you get the first tower after pushing a while, you just get realized as your second or third item. Like you normally build Athenes or Morello Nomicon, depends on who you're playing against. And then just go boots and realize and try to roam as fast as possible, because his early damage is really insane with his passive. Like people do not expect it if you just roam bot lane and just ulti them, and then they will instantly die. And as a diamond tip, I guess like ask your jungler for help with warding, and just try to stay like far behind in team fights. Just go in and poke, but then like back off and just wait for them to like group up, and then you can just stand from like far behind and ulti. It will definitely be like a kill for you and your team.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. One last question about Vel'Koz. Do you ever buy Mobies to help your gank potential?
Only if I play in support.
Yeah.
Like on mid lane, I always go magic penetration because his magic pen is so important.
Cool. Just curious on that, because I know I've seen some Annies do that, but she scales better with she just does so much burst just pretty easily anyway. But okay, so let's transition now. And speaking of ganking a little bit, let's talk about ganking. Let's talk about ganking lanes when they're behind versus kind of ganking lanes when they're ahead. I know this is a topic that you know a lot about, and So I want to get your overall thoughts on this.
Okay. Like ever since League started, basically there has been like discussions about whether you should gank a winning lane or a losing lane, but most junglers go for ganking the winning lane because there is like a hidden rule where you just don't gank losing lanes. But to that rule, I just want to say there is a difference between losing lanes and lost lanes. Like, maybe there are some lanes that are maybe they are 0-1 or 0-2. That's a losing lane. If they are like 0-5, that's a lost lane. Then you don't have to bother about it. Just try to make them useful in team fights. But if they are a losing lane, you can go in there and gank them. Just try to help them out and make the lane even. You don't have to make them win, but just make them even so that they actually are useful later on. But ganking a winning lane is of course very good for you and your winning lane, because it will most likely be a free kill and you will get gold, and the lane that is winning will get gold. But if you then have like a winning lane and a lost lane, that lost lane might actually like destroy everything that you have planned if you do not help him out before it's a lost lane. So if you are the one that is losing your lane, just try to make yourself gankable and make sure to tell your jungler that now you are trying to make yourself gankable. Also, what might be a problem, especially in high elo, is that if you are losing your lane, some people might actually mute like the rest of their teammates because they don't want to get flamed for losing, etc. So make sure you use pings very often. If you're going into gank, just make sure that you're like spamming that you're actually going in to make sure that your lane is following up. And yeah, as a jungler, I think it's really important to gank before it's the lost lane, before everything is kind of over, because the enemy team will be like so fed up on that guy who is winning. And especially like thinking about top lane, who is like most dependent on ganks, like top and mid lane. If some of them are fed, like if a top lane is fed and it's someone who got a lot of split pushing potential, you will eventually maybe not be able to come back because your top laner cannot go top anymore to try to stop that person, and he is so far behind that he can't even do anything in team fights, so he's pretty much useless. So then like maybe 2 or more of the team will have to rotate top lane to try to stop the split pushing, and then the other people on the enemy team can just go in on the rest of your team, who is just trying to hold back the forces coming from the enemy team. So just make sure to help out very early. Like if you see someone is like 0-2 after like 5 minutes, you go there right away.
Yeah. No, I really like the point you brought up about make sure you're pinging. Because there's definitely been times where I go into lane and I immediately go 0-2, like just give first blood and then die again straight back into lane, and then I immediately mute everybody because I'm afraid of the flame and stuff like that. That's a really good point. But even if you don't have everybody muted, you should still ping, because especially in lower elo, because people aren't going to be looking at their map, like they're not even going to notice you're about to gank their lane. And this happens really in any elo sometimes. People just get super one track minded. They don't even really look at their map. They're just focusing really hard on the matchup. So yeah, be sure to ping. So going back now to ganking winning lanes versus losing lanes. So let's say we have a situation where like our top laner is 0-2 and our mid laner, or like everybody else is just even. So do you think in every situation, like we should go to that top lane and try to catch him back up, or are there situations where we need to just try to get the other lanes ahead to kind of counter that feeding top lane?
Well, if your other lanes are even, you should just try to go, if like it's an easy kill, or like if you see a potential kill, like mid lane or bot lane, you go there first to like try to make them a winning lane, and then you can rotate top lane and just telling to play like really, really safe, just like hug tower or something, and then you just try to make the other lanes win. And then like when you eventually then can come top lane, he is still 0-2 because he is hugging the turret, and then you can try to help him out, because you don't go where like you will most likely not get a kill. So then just go like mid lane or bot lane if they are even, and just try to make them win, and then you can focus on your losing lane and make sure it's not lost before that happens.
Yeah.
Also timing, like ganking on the right time is also super important. Like, don't gank after he's been in lane for like 5 minutes without backing, because like then he will probably sit on a lot of gold, and he will probably not have all the summoner spells open, and maybe be low on mana or low on health. So whenever your lane teammate will come back into lane after being back, then you will most likely have everything up again, like not all of the abilities are on cooldown, etc. And then you can gank lane when he comes back into lane, not when he is like, maybe I should back.
Nice, yeah. So let's take a lost lane situation now. So let's say our top lane is 0-4, 0-5, something like that. You're playing Vel'Koz mid, you've pushed out your lane, you don't know where maybe your mid laner went B or something. Do you think it's a good idea then to, let's say your jungler is topside, if you do like a 3-man gank bot or gank top on that losing lane, is that a situation where it's okay to gank a lost lane?
Yeah, like if you make sure that it's a kill and like the top laner will not get a triple kill, then of course, like especially like if you're playing Vel'Koz mid and you have someone who scales AD top, which is like the most common situation, the enemy top laner will most likely have built armor, and then you can just go there with your magic penetration, and they will melt down right away. And that can be for like every mid champion. Just make sure that the top laner and the mid laner is like one is AD and one is AP, and just try to gank each other's lanes if someone is behind, because the enemy will most likely have built like armor or magic resist, depending on what you're playing against. And then just even try to switch lanes sometimes. Like that happens a lot in my games, that if I'm playing top lane and the mid lane is they're doing okay, but they're like kind of behind, just like swap lanes, and like the enemy team will not expect it, and they will have like, if you do it after they have gotten like maybe 2 items or something, like they have built something armor, and then you just swap, they will have that armor item and they will not have any use for it. So
right. No, that's a really good point. Okay, I have one more question about this. So let's say I'm a jungler, my top lane is 0-2 and my mid lane is 2-0. What do you think, what should I be thinking about as far as I want to just continue to try and get my mid lane fed so he can kind of carry, or I want to try and get my top laner back into the game? What kind of things should I be thinking about as a jungler in that situation?
Well, that's kind of where the discussion goes, like whether you should like keep on ganking the winning lane or actually gank the losing lane. But what you can do is, as the example before, like try to go like 3-man top, for example, and then you will still keep your mid laner fed if like the mid laner comes with you, and you will get the top laner back into the game. You don't have to do that necessarily. You can just, I will suggest that you go top lane and just try to help out your top laner so that he will not be useless late game and your top lane will be like pushed in. Just try to make him being able to like actually be top lane without dying. He doesn't have to win, he doesn't have to trade any kills, just be there without letting them like push through the towers. Just make sure that he can actually defend and be useful later on.
Yeah, that's good. I also think too, from the enemy standpoint, if they're thinking, I just want to get this top laner, I just want to continue to feed this guy, get him more kills, being there as a jungler, you might be in a position to counter gank. And when the enemy jungler is going to gank a lane that is already ahead, they're not going to be as careful. And what I mean by that is they might come into the gank at half health, for example, because they know that their top laner is already way ahead. He doesn't need to be full health to pull off a successful gank. So as a jungler, potentially just being in the top area for a counter gank potential can really, really turn things around. I can't talk enough about how powerful counter ganks are, but it's another day. We can talk about that. But anyway, do you have any last thoughts about that topic?
I don't know. Like, also being as a jungler, it's mostly also about keeping pressure. Like, just show that you are around. Like, you don't always have to like have a successful gank where you get a kill, but just go in and make him flash. Is like, okay, that summoner spell is out, then I can come back in like 2 minutes and gank him again, and he will not have flash. Right. So just being there as a jungler, just show that you are there and you keep pressure on lane is really important.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point for sure. Okay, awesome stuff. So let's go ahead and transition now to my favorite part, the Zillion Time Warp round. And I'm going to ask you 5 quick questions. You're going to come back with 5 quick responses. So, you ready for this?
Okay.
All right. So, what is your number 1 tip to climb?
Find what kind of person you are, and like what kind of playstyle you have, and just find the champions that fit your playstyle and just spam them in solo queue.
Nice. What would be just a kind of follow-up question? What would be kind of some ways? Because I feel like I've had a lot of people ask me, "Well, how do I know what champion to main? How do I know what my playstyle is?" Do you have any advice for those kind of people?
Well, like, obviously you will start out playing like maybe like 5 champions like in total, and then you find your favorite of those, and then like you just look at like how champions are played. Like, I know that I like to play aggressive, so I pick those champion who I know I can jump in on, or I will have a lot of burst. Like, if I play Vel'Koz, I also like to play Annie, even though like she's not my favorite, but like if I have to pick, I will choose like Vel'Koz or Annie or Ahri, because they all are like, you can go in easily, and I like to play that aggressive style. So just try to find your style. If you like to play passive like tanky, just go top lane, you know.
And if you're a girl, you should play girl champions, right?
Yeah, of course, always.
All right, next question. Speaking of girls, so we recently had a girl make it into the LCS with the RNG team or whatever. Why don't you think there's been more girls in the pro scene?
As a general answer, it's like, I guess some of them are afraid, but actually there are some good female players, but most of them are like stuck in like high diamond master-ish, and none of them is actually like at the top. But I think if some of them were actually really, really high challenger and they are actually really good, I think there will be a high priority than boys like in the same elo. So it's just that girls are not tryharding enough, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting topic, because when we think about, you know, the NBA, the NFL, or soccer, or you call football, whatever, there's obvious physical, you know, differences. You're not going to have a professional girl play on a professional guy's team. That's just how our biology is made up. But when it comes to a game like League of Legends, where it's mental, it's like, you know, girls can definitely do things just as well as the guys can. So I'm pretty excited to kind of see what shapes up over the next year or so, especially now that we've seen a girl make it into the LCS. I bet that's going to really inspire some other girls to get there. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, like there is nothing stopping girls from joining the LCS. It's just that they are actually not good enough.
Yeah.
So it's just about, I don't know, like At least for me, I think that for boys, it's okay to sit and play video games for like 8 hours straight at home. But for girls, that's kind of not socially acceptable in most cultures. So I think that's like something that is keeping female players behind, because they cannot practice as much as they might want to, because people are talking bad or the family does not support it and stuff.
Right. No, that's a good point. Well, I bet those things are going to change up pretty soon, so we'll see what happens. Okay, next question. Do you think it's okay to dodge sometimes in Champ Select? Or should you always just play it out?
No, I think it's okay to dodge if you know it's going to be a lose. Like if someone is trolling because like they were last pick and they did not get the mid lane they wanted and stuff, then it's okay to dodge because you don't want to play against some fucking Disco Nunu or something. You just, like, if you know it's a loss, there's no point in even playing it. So then you might better lose like 3 LP instead of losing like 25. So sometimes it's okay to dodge, like if you know that they are trolling. But other than that, it's always like, okay, this matchup might go bad, but you can always, like, even though it's like they're playing something that counters you or counters someone else on your team, like there is still a chance if you just like group up and try to see what your others or the other players on your team are picking, and try to pick like something that will help your team fight if you see that the lanes might not going to go so well.
Gotcha. That's good stuff. So next question. Who do you think, and don't say Vel'Koz because we already talked about him enough, who do you think is the secret OP champion right now?
A secret one?
Yeah, like something not really in the meta right now.
Man, I feel like all the OP champs are like being insta-banned, like Fiora and Mordekaiser and Darius and all those, but they are maybe not that secret. A secret OP champion. I think Aatrox actually is really an underestimated champion. Like there are not that many people, like as I've seen in my elo, that are playing Aatrox, and people do not know how to play against him. I think he is actually a really good champion, and you can easily become really fed. There is a lot of like first blood potential, and also if you get like an early gank from the jungler, you will most likely be able to maybe not get the kill, but at least you will burn out his summoners, because you can just jump right in on them, and because when you have your passive early, they cannot really do anything against you. So I think Aatrox is really a champion that is underestimated. May not be OP, but at least underestimated.
No, I like that. Especially the point about no one ever sees him. He actually used to be super strong. I think it was like in season 3, people would pick or ban him all the time. He got a little bit of a nerf, but then I feel like a couple months ago he actually got a buff again, but nobody was brave enough to try him out, it didn't seem like. So yeah, I think that's a good choice for sure. All right, last question. So going back to your deal about going to learn other roles before you came back to mid and kind of just learning how other roles work. Let's say I'm a newer-ish player and I want to just learn a new role. Give us one champion for each role that are great for learning that new role.
Okay, well then I would just like kind of go with all the basics. Like playing support, you might go for like Leona or Braum, for example, because then you learn how to be able to control your CC and be aggressive or play passive or like defending your AD carry and just focus on the warding and all that stuff. So yeah, Braum and Leona support. As AD carry, maybe Caitlyn is the one that is like the easiest to play and like learn about much more about farming and then positioning. And what's great about Caitlyn is her long range, so you can just try to like learn how to position in like the back lines and try to let your team defend you while you stand in the back and poke, and communicate with with your support, like if you want to go aggressive or if you want to be passive. As a mid laner, I would go for someone who scales ability power. I would probably go for Ari or Lux maybe, because then you learn how to hit your skill shots, and you know when to go in or not to go in. Also, you have some CC and you have some mobility, which I think is great when it comes to mid lane, especially Ari, because there you have a lot of mobility with your ulti, and most of mid laners are assassins and they can jump back and forth like Yasuo or Zed. So learning how to control your mobility is great to start with Ari, I believe. As a jungler, I think I would start off with maybe basic, going for... I know that Nocturne is not in the meta right now, but I think that he is great for just managing how to jungle. With your ulti, you can easily like initiate a gank. You don't have to like be that well in position. You can just like learn how to time your ganks. Like you see that someone is fighting, you can just go in there, help them with your ulti. Also, you learn about like when you should chase, when you should not chase. It's very easy to do the jungle camps with Nocturne as well. So yeah, I think Nocturne is a great champ. If you like to, you can go Rek'Sai. He is a bit more skilled champ, but he is very easy to understand. But he's like very hard to actually do well on compared to Nocturne. But if you're like on the next stage, I would believe that Rek'Sai is a good jungler to play because of his ganking potential. As a top laner, maybe two champions, maybe someone who's good at split pushing and someone who's basically there for being a tank, like go Renekton or Nasus as a tank, and just like be there to kind of learn how to protect your team and be there as a tank, like protecting your AD carry and protecting your mid laner, and let them do the damage and let you just kind of hold back the enemy team and being there like big and scary. Or you can play a champ that is way more about split pushing and kind of solo carrying the game by pushing and giving global golds after getting turrets, like Tryndamere. I hate Tryndamere, but he is very easy to play, and he got a lot of split pushing potential, obviously. So maybe that champion as well, and just like try to find what lane you want, and then try to experience with different champions in that lane.
That's awesome. That was super in-depth and perfect answer to that question. I think especially if you're in a situation right now where you feel like you're stuck, you've hit a plateau, try to do this. Go try and learn a new role. Just kind of gain a new perspective, and definitely try out one of those champions that Proxy just mentioned if you want to do that. I think it could be a really good idea for you. Okay, Proxy, super appreciate you coming on and giving us all this super awesome info and sharing your knowledge with us.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, so I'm definitely going to, if you're listening to this episode on the website, definitely going to have all of her social media and Twitch, YouTube links there on the page. Proxy, why don't you go ahead and tell us what they might expect when tuning into your Twitch channel or YouTube channel?
Well, on my YouTube channel, I mostly upload like stuff from when I'm going to events, like after a TwitchCon or after this event I'm going to now GigaCon, and making like shortcuts, just highlights really. On my stream, I mostly stream League of Legends, where I try as often as I can to play mid lane, but as I said, I don't kind of want to like first pick Vel'Koz either, so
yeah.
You might see some support or some top lane, but mostly mid lane. I also stream some CSGO and Hearthstone, and my favorite part is that I also play guitar and I sing on my stream, so a lot of people enjoy that.
Nice.
And
Sorry, what were you saying there at the very last?
I was just saying that I always like talk to my chat. So
Nice.
Just say hi.
That's cool. Definitely going to tune in to your channel, listen to you sing a bit. I think that would be awesome. Well, anyway, again, super appreciate you coming on, and yeah, we'll talk with you later.
yeah, great. Bye.
All right, guys, if you found value in this podcast and the message we're trying to spread at improveyourleague.com, then click the subscribe button below and give my show a review and hopefully a 5-star rating. This type of support will allow my show to gain the recognition it needs to reach as many people as possible. In turn, we'll be able to share this incredible free medium of knowledge and experience with the world. And remember, one lucky registered member at improveyourleague.com wins a $10 RP card every week. Be sure to sign up for free. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode of the Improve Your League podcast. For more great content and amazing tools to aid in your success, visit www.improveyourleague.com. We'll catch you next time. Improvers, prepare to climb.